This video is intended for us to become familiar with Ethnic Studies 37A course as well as the requirements. Um, you should have received an email with the syllabus. It is also available on our Canvas page. At any given time, you can always email me through the Canvas class page if you have further questions about what I'm going to go over here. So as I've mentioned, this is an overview course, but together 37A and 37B satisfy the American institutions requirement for San Jose City College. So this is a third option that we now have. It is CSU and UC transferable. And it also satisfies our ethnic studies graduation requirement. So you can knock out several of your requirements with both 37A and 37B together. And you don't have to take one before taking the other. They are both standalone courses. You can read through. I'm not going to go over the learning outcomes, but you can review them together. This course basically covers from pre-Columbian history all the way up through around the Civil War. Really, it's post-Mexican American War. So as for textbooks, there are three required textbooks. Let me talk about each of them. Rodolfo Acuña's book, Occupied America, History of Chicanos, is now in the 8th edition. You can, however, if you can find the 6th edition, you might be able to get that cheaper. I wouldn't recommend you go any further than that, far back. And Acuna, he's a historian, so his book has got a lot of historical facts. Now, are you supposed to memorize all these facts? Absolutely not, okay? Really, through the lectures, you should be able to glean what are the major ideas, the big concepts, and then plug in some of those into as you do the reading. As you do the reading, you'll be able to connect to the big ideas, okay? So I don't want anyone to get overwhelmed with all the facts that you come across in the books. The cool thing with Acuña's book is that you will also use it for 37B if you take 37B with me. And so it's good for both courses. The first book you'll really need to get into here in 37A is David Carrasco's book, Religions of Mesoamerica. Don't get fooled by the title. His book is really more of a history of Mesoamerica, and it's a nice little intro book if you've never learned anything about like the Mayans or the Aztecs or any of those indigenous peoples of the Americas. He will blow your mind. Okay, so and then the third required book, Howard Zinn, A People's History of the United States. Now the cool thing about Howard Zinn's book is it's a book about the working poor in America's history. And before he passed, because he just passed away not too long ago, he wanted to make sure his book was made available to everyone. So the cool thing, it is free. So if you go to the link that is on the syllabus, you can access the entire book. And if you're kind of like me, where you need to hold a book and turn pages and smell the pages, you can find that book pretty cheap online if you want to buy it. All right, so those are the three required books. And the thing I want to just tell you is it is a history class, so you do want to keep up on the readings. And I always recommend to students, don't get caught up in all the little details, okay? Try to keep in mind the big overarching questions. The other thing I always like to talk about is how do you go about doing the readings? Now, I always say find a good place to read. You know, if you're anything like me, I know many of you might have a situation where you read a page and then you don't remember what you read. And a lot of times that's because we're too distracted with other things. So passive reading is where you're just reading words on the page, but your mind is actively thinking about, oh, I got to do my laundry and all these other to-do lists that you have, or whatever it is. So try to become what we call an active reader, where you are interrogating the reading, asking questions of the reading. You probably had that experience before where you're reading and you're like, maybe the book that you're reading is playing like a movie in your head and the pages are turning and next thing you know, you read like 30 pages and you didn't realize it. So it takes practice. It takes practice and really I encourage you to find a good place to get your reading done. If you can't read at night because you get sleepy, read in the day. If you can't read in the library because it's too stuffy, read on outside. The important thing is if you want to be successful in college and if you want to be successful in this class, you really need to plan how you're going to do the readings, when are you going to do the readings, where are you going to do the readings, etc. Okay, so that said, Be sure you get the books right away, especially the Religions of Mesoamerica book, because the readings are already assigned out of that book. All right. Now, evaluation. Let's talk a little bit about the way you're going to get graded. Okay, so there are two portfolios. Think of one like a midterm, one like a final. The first one will be due in the middle of our semester, so right around the 8th week. And the last portfolio will be due at the end, or last day of class. So each portfolio, you'll have to write 2 essays. And so the total is 4 essays, right? 2 portfolios, each has 2 essays. So, and each of these essays, and I'll give you a separate handout on this. Um, each portfolio will have some prompts for you to answer some essay questions, and you will submit those on the day they're due. So I'll give you more details on those as we go forward. Now, these are kinds of essays, however, that are not like just summaries, but an opportunity to demonstrate you're doing the readings and to be a critical thinker. Like as I read your essays, I will be asking myself, is there evidence that you're thinking deeply about this subject? Or are you just regurgitating what you got from the lecture? So please go beyond that. I really want you to use these essays as a way to show that you are thinking deeply about a subject, and also show that you're doing the readings. You know, you want to reference the books, you want to reference the chapters or any ideas. You can, quote the books. So the portfolio essays are really kind of academic essays that are reflective and critical. And we'll talk a little bit more about that going forward. Okay, quizzes. There will be a total of 4 quizzes, roughly one every 4 weeks. Each quiz will be worth about 10 points. The cool thing is I will drop your lowest score. So only 3 quizzes will count. And so that's why you see 30 points total there. Okay. I will open up the quizzes, make them available, and then they won't be available. So please make sure you take advantage of the opportunities when those quizzes become available. All right, class participation, 20 points. So let's go down here, and I think in the next page of the syllabus, you'll see where I talk about the quizzes, the portfolios. Now, the grade scale, it's 100 points possible, and so at any given time, you can calculate your own grade. It's pretty straightforward stuff, right? Now, the participation. Okay, this is the most critical piece on an online class especially. I will be expecting you to be an active participant each week, not every once in a while, not at the end of the course, but each module we will be having discussion questions, and you will be expected to participate in those discussions. So please plan to provide your thoughts, your comments, your questions, and I will be, in the end, putting a grade together based on not just how many times you posted, but were you actively participating and engaged in a thoughtful way. And it doesn't mean you have to have all the answers. Maybe you have a lot of questions, or maybe there's some things you didn't understand. But the idea is that you are being genuinely involved. And so that's the critical part for being successful in an online class. Okay, I'm not going to go over all this other stuff. I'm going to jump down. You can read that on your own. The last page here has kind of an overview. Now, I mentioned modules. Okay, I think there are about 13 modules in this online course, and we have 16 weeks. So I left a little bit of wiggle room, but basically you're going to be planning on having 1 module per week. Now, these dates here, I don't pay attention to those dates. Those are dates that relate to the face-to-face classes that I teach Tuesday, Thursday. But essentially, week 1, I will post materials probably Sunday night, Monday mornings, to be available the whole week till the following Sunday or Monday, depending on how I post it. So you definitely want to do the work during the week the module is open, including watching the lectures and taking any notes. And getting involved in the discussion threads, because after about a week or so, I will close each module that we've already completed and go on to the next one. All right, so that's going to be very important for you to follow along. And I think that's it. So if you have any questions, please feel free to email me through our Canvas page. And if you have any questions on the syllabus, otherwise, best of luck and onward we go.